Okay, so I think that's yes, questions, please.
I was going to ask, the argument now is that there are many margins and they have effects on both directions. As a result, the policy decision, which is aiming to increase the wage or like increase the welfare in some sort, is going to possibly miss the objective. Is that the argument? Because we discussed a lot of margins, we said you also like joked about them going to 1,000 if we keep discussing. So is it that it's going to be inconclusive, whatever we aim in the end?
The question is the policy effects inconclusive?
Or like it's going to end up possibly much different than the objective at the first place, because we will lose a lot of margins.
There are unintended consequences. If you ignore margins, if your attitude towards policy is, well, I think people respond in this one margin, then you're going to have unintended consequences on the other margins.
Mm-hmm. No, my takeaway from the lecture is that there are a lot of margins that possibly we will miss. It's hard to put 4 margins into a model, yet alone 12. What I'm thinking is it? I think it's one approach to say like these 2 margins, either qualitatively or quantitatively, seems to be the biggest margins, and I include them, and I have a conclusion, and I want to push for this policy. Or, well, there are too many margins, I can't even model half of them, and probably my recommendation is going to be inconclusive or have unintended consequences. How should an economist pick one of these directions? I'd say the question is.
Okay, you're asking how do we, maybe difficult to model lots of margins, how do we approach that? I disagree with the premise. Supply and demand can do everything. You can quote me on that. And we just interpret those curves to include a lot of behavioral responses. When we're moving along a demand curve, let's say, people are responding on a lot of margins. Not just the one I happen to have in my statistical data set. And we've also developed techniques for dealing with that. That kind of gets beyond the scope of this class. It kind of focuses more on revenue, because revenue kind of, if you look at how much the unemployment program spends, you kind of capture a lot of these margins. Whether people are being on unemployment longer because of the hires, because of the separation, because the industry grows, or they're getting less human capital, the spending of the unemployment program is kind of a window on that. So we've developed some techniques around that. I'm not against studying the margins individually and adding them up, but it's nice, point of view of theory, is to have some shortcuts, if you will, the way we can abstract and make progress on understanding what's happening without nailing down all the details. And supply and demand are wonderful for that because, as I said, they can include lots of responses underneath there. Yeah, good